What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Caffeinate today for January the 29th of 2018. My name is Samuel Adams, and welcome to today's show. For those that are brand new to the program, this is a daily gaming news podcast where I bring you the hottest gaming news from around the industry, and I pack it up in one tight, neat little podcast for you to enjoy on your way to work when you're enjoying a cup of coffee in the evening or even in the morning, or perhaps both, as I tend to do. But with that being said, again, welcome for those that are brand new, and the show is hosted 5 days a week on twitch.tv/thesamueladams. Then it's uploaded on YouTube and podcast services around the world for you to enjoy. But hey, you can always keep up to date with the hottest content coming from yours truly via twitter.com/prettychillguy. So now that housekeeping is out of the way, what are we going to be talking about tonight? Our headliner story is that Quantic Dream has received an investment from NetEase to develop next-gen games, and very interestingly, not just for the PlayStation. That's a big change up as compared to what they've been doing traditionally. On top of that, GameStop has halted the pursuit of a buyer, and stock has plummeted over 25% as of today. EA is removing FIFA points in Belgium after loot box crackdown, but the drama is not over yet, coming to us from GameSpot. The Overwatch League is going to air live on television in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So that's a big step for esports overall. Twitch has apologized for running ads for other streamers. Fortnite NFL Skins are returning for Super Bowl LIII. It's a pretty big deal right there. February 2019 Xbox Live Games with Gold have been announced, and there is a very significant game in that lineup that I truly do believe you guys should check out if you do happen to have Games with Gold. And, of course, there's always the fun story of the day, which is that there's a brand new Tekken-style fighting game coming out, and it features pigeons called Peckin. I love the gaming culture. But again, I hope you guys enjoy today's show, and without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. First off, Quantic Dream receives an investment from NetEase to develop next-gen games. A minority stake will help Quantic become a, quote, global multi-franchise entertainment company. Chinese internet company NetEase announced it has purchased a minority stake in Quantic Dream, the French developer behind Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human, as part of an investment in, quote, the development and creation of next-generation games. NetEase did not disclose the monetary terms of its investment with Quantic Dream. The investment will, quote, support Quantic Dream's vision of becoming a global multi-franchise entertainment company and to develop advanced technologies and games for the future, NetEase said in a news release. NetEase used similar language in describing its $100 million investment in Halo and Destiny developer Bungie last year, a company which notably has been able to split off from Activision and now publish the sequel to Destiny 2. Just saying, pretty big step there. But, quote, with a strong focus on in-house development, we are constantly looking for partners that complement us in the development and creation of the next generation games, said Ethan Wang, vice president of NetEase, in a statement. Quantic Dream's excellence in interactive storytelling and the valuable expertise it has built over the past 2 decades is exactly what we have been looking for. We are pleased to partner with Quantic Dream, and we hope to create incredible game experiences for players all around the globe. The landscape of the gaming industry will go through major evolutions in the coming years, with new hardware to come, new business models to explore, and new ways of playing to invent, added Quantic Dream CEO and creative director David Cage. We want Quantic Dream to take a key role in this exciting future, and having NetEase by our side as a strategic partner will allow us to expand our creative vision and develop the company to its fullest potential. NetEase understands what Quantic is about, as they share our passion for high-quality games and our ambitions for the studio. NetEase was founded in 1997, for those that don't know. The company operates local versions of EVE Online, World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, StarCraft 2, and Overwatch, and Quantic Dream was also founded in 1997. The studio's most recent game, Detroit Become Human, was released in 2018 for the PlayStation 4, and the company has had a long-running publishing partnership with Sony Interactive Entertainment, which as of today has officially ended, and the next generation development is reportedly going to be focusing on multi-platforms instead of just on PlayStation's newest line of hardware. So what are my thoughts on this? This is a very significant win for Quantic Dream overall, because if you've been keeping up with how they've been received over the past few years, they are becoming somewhat of a notable company, a notable development studio for these story-driven games. Of course, We in the Bronx. Of course, Detroit Become Human was nominated for many people's Game of the Year. It truly was an innovative masterpiece, and at that, it really took advantage of the hardware that the PlayStation did bring to the table, and it created some of the most realistic facial animations that I have ever seen, and I would argue perhaps the most realistic facial animations to date. Very impressive work over there on that specific game. But of course, with games like Heavy Rain coming from the past, and also you have Beyond Two Souls, I believe, these are some incredible, timeless games that they've been making. And to see this kind of investment coming from NetEase is nothing that's a big shock, because quite frankly, the studio deserves it after all of the work they put in on these high-quality experiences. So the future is looking very bright for Quantic Dream, and I think it's the best opportunity to be able to go multi-platform instead of sticking on PlayStation. The only drawback from focusing on multiple versions of hardware is that you can't milk one specific type of hardware to its fullest, and you have to make sure the game runs at least fairly similarly across all of the different platforms. So you have to make sure that the Xbox One version looks just like the PlayStation 4 version, for instance, and the PS4 and Xbox One versions are at least somewhat similar to PC. So with that, you have to kind of be able to take that into consideration during development, but still, with that much money coming down the pipe towards Quantic Dream, I'm sure they can probably figure out how to make all of those games and all of those versions look absolutely gorgeous. But hey, a giant global multi-franchise entertainment company sounds like a pretty awesome thing to be a part of. So hey, congratulations to the team over there at Quantic Dream for securing this awesome deal and being able to split off from publishing directly on PlayStation exclusively. That's a pretty good time. Also, to the individuals in the chat, welcome on in. Glad to see you. But moving on to the next story of the day, GameStop halts the pursuit of a buyer and stock plummets over 25%. GameStop stock has dropped over 27%, the lowest in 14 years. Not looking too good for the giant company. GameStop announced Tuesday in a statement that it will no longer pursue a buyer for the company, which the board has been discussing since June of 2018. Quote, GameStop's board has now terminated efforts to pursue a sale of the company due to the lack of available financing on terms that would be commercially acceptable to a prospective acquirer, GameStop said in a statement. The news comes after reports circulated that two different companies, Sycamore Partners and Apollo Global Management, were competing over acquisition of GameStop, which would have been finalized by February of 2019. GameStop reported a third quarter loss of $488.6 million, a story which we talked about right here on Caffeinate, which included the sale of Spring Mobile that brought in around $700 million. Pre-owned sales were down, which is where GameStop originally turns most of their profits, but hardware, software, and accessory sales were also up. Rob Lloyd, COO and CFO at GameStop, credited the highest-selling games such as Red Dead Redemption 2 and Marvel's Spider-Man with the boost in software sales. GameStop's board is continuing to search for a permanent CEO and is working with an executive search firm to find a highly qualified person for the position in a timely manner. As of the time of this publishing on IGN, GameStop's shares have fallen over 27% to $11.25 USD and continue to drop. That's college boy prices right there. That's very affordable. The last time shares were that low was in June of 2005. According to Business Insider. For more on the games that help companies like GameStop's grow, you can always check out IGN and their reviews of everything that GameStop is selling these days. But overall, massive to see that GameStop is continuing to plummet in the way that we've seen over the past 6 to 8 months or so. Of course, I've been doing this podcast for roughly about a year or so. You know, it's been a tumultuous time for GameStop since I began this actual show. That's how long this has been going on. And of course, many would say this has been a downward spiral over the past 5 to 10 years because of digital games becoming more and more prevalent, and also people kind of shifting away from GameStop overall and trying to support their local mom and pop shops. So overall, crazy to see them continuing to drop more and more in popularity and also in terms of money as well. Because as we see in the chat, Steffi says, GameStop can suck it not getting my Kingdom Hearts PS4 bundle, a story we talked about on yesterday's episode of Caffeinate. Yes, they are still not doing the best type of business practice, but hey, what can you do, you know, whenever they're the only kid on the block, really, that does have some of these exclusive items, such as the Kingdom Hearts PS4 bundle. However, again, money talks, in the words of AC/DC. So GameStop definitely has some explaining to, and of course, no one really wants to buy a company that is beginning to fall off the edge so far, as we see with GameStop. But hey, still a very large household name here in the States and really worldwide, so there's still a huge potential for the future. And if I were to be given the opportunity to purchase stock in GameStop right now, I would, because again, it's $11.25 as of the time of this article being published, so you have the opportunity there to make some money if they can go ahead and regain their former stance. But hey, we'll see what happens with GameStop overall. Now, speaking of interesting business decisions, EA is removing FIFA points in Belgium after loot box crackdown, but the drama is not over yet. EA wants to give its players choice, fairness, value, and fun. And that's a direct quote. They want to give you fun. And you can buy it in packs worth $5 a piece. Just kidding. Gaming giant EA is removing FIFA points, a form of virtual currency, from the franchise's lucrative Ultimate Team mode across all titles from the franchise in Belgium following the country's crackdown on loot boxes. In a blog post, EA said it came to the decision to remove FIFA points following, quote, discussions with the Belgian authorities. Wow. The FIFA points will be removed from all FIFA games on console and PC by the end of January, EA said, which is just literally 2 days away. While FIFA points will no longer be purchasable for Ultimate Team, people can still, of course, play Ultimate Team. Going forward, all extra content can only be unlocked through gameplay. This was always the case, as the FIFA points were available as an option for players who wanted to unlock new content faster. The game's other in-game currency, coins, along with the transfer market, will remain up and running in the wake of this news. Gamers in Belgium will get to keep any unspent FIFA points, but as mentioned, they will no longer be able to buy more. Quote, we apologize to our players in Belgium for any inconvenience caused by this change, EA said. With all its games, EA said its goal is to provide players with a choice, fairness, value, and fun. EA also pointed out that franchises like FIFA and others with loot box mechanics contain systems that display probability figures. EA removing loot boxes from FIFA might seem like the company is taking a stance against loot boxes, but that doesn't seem to be the case. EA has said previously that loot boxes are not gambling, and the company doubled down on this in its new statement. While we are taking this action, we do not agree with Belgian authorities' interpretation of the law, and we will continue to seek more clarity on the matter as we go forward, EA said. On the investor side, EA said it doesn't expect the removal of loot boxes to have a material impact on the company's financial performance, and that may be true because Belgium is a small country relative to other places. The potential worry for investors is that this announcement might lead to more widespread changes in other countries that the EA company operates in. And so that's pretty much where we'll cut it off right there. But of course, they go on to talk more about Belgium's gambling commission and all of the other drama surrounding loot boxes, which again continues to spiral out of control. But I think this is a step in the right direction, because the biggest sentence that stands out to me in this article is the idea of being able to simply play the game and earn content within the game by playing the game. In other words, you experience the game the way that it's kind of meant to be played, where you do grind it out. I understand the concept of loot boxes, and I understand the draw of microtransactions, both for the player and also for those behind the scenes that are trying to make some cash from the game. If you don't have 12 hours to grind, then you might as well go ahead and spend $20 and get whatever you want within the game. It makes sense, and I understand why they're trying to pursue this specific option. But at the same time, it can be considered gambling, especially if there is a randomized element to it. So I think that going into the future, as more and more of these loot boxes are pulled and as more microtransactions are refinagled to fit into this new world definition of the term, you're going to be seeing less randomization and more simply microtransactions, and also earnable in-game currency that can or cannot be purchased, but again, little to no randomization. We'll see what happens. But now in the chat, Spike Tiger says, playing the game to grind out stuff, you mean like Smash Bros characters? Exactly. I mean, imagine if you could buy Super Smash Bros, and instead of just paying $60, you could pay $120 with an additional $60 worth of, I don't know, Smash coins or whatever, and unlock whatever characters you want right out of the gate. Again, this is all hypothetical, but with that being said, you know, that would be, in a way, outrageous, especially if you are a competitive player who's trying to get an edge on the game. I digress. You got to grind that. That's part of being a gamer. You got to get in there. Can't believe I just said that. But with that being said, Steffi also says, I literally watched someone open $120 plus worth of own crates in ESO, and get all crap pretty much, but they ended up with so many games from breaking those crap items. Gems from I can't read. So they have gems that come out of loot boxes. Regardless, loot boxes and the randomization can sometimes and often be a bad and a negative thing for your specific situation, especially if you might not be in the position to spend that money to begin with. But I digress. It looks like EA has chosen to forcibly take a stance against loot boxes in Belgium, and who knows, we could be seeing more of the same thing around the world very shortly. Now, speaking of a game that has loot boxes, but is sort of okay in that, Overwatch has a specific Overwatch League, the competitive league, and guess what? It is airing on live television in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Broadcaster Sport1 has snapped up the rights to the esports tournament, and boy, this could be a big deal. The new season of Overwatch League, OWL, will be broadcast live on pay TV channel Esports 1 in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland starting on February the 14th. The newly announced deal between Blizzard and German broadcaster Sport 1, which recently launched Esports 1 as a dedicated esports channel, spans 2 years and also hands it the rights to the Overwatch World Cup and digital card game Hearthstone. OWL 2019 will see reigning champs London Spitfire defend their title against a host of challengers, including 8 new teams. After keeping the action stationed at the Blizzard Arena in Los Angeles for its debut, Overwatch League is set to incorporate home games in Dallas and Atlanta for its second tournament. But as this latest deal shows, esports is also a big deal abroad, and having stuck broadcaster deals in the United States, Blizzard is clearly trying to tap into the scene's European fanbase. These types of packs could also be crucial for the long-term financial viability of the industry, which has suffered a few hiccups as of late, including a rocky start to Epic Games' Fortnite esports push, and Blizzard's own closure of its Heroes of the Storm events, which we talked about back whenever they actually did end up shutting down some stuff. But the Overwatch League is, of course, beginning to become something of a worldwide phenomenon, if you will. Not quite as big as it was when it first launched, but if you do go on Twitch or Mixer or wherever you might view your esports content, you do see a good many people attending these events, and of course, thousands and thousands tuning in online. And Overwatch has continued to be a dominant force in esports. Of course, like I said, not nearly as big as it was back in the day by my gauge, but overall still very popular around the world, really. Now, when it comes to it being easier to watch, that's still up in the air. That's all kind of a personal, subjective approach to how you want to judge the overall game. But cool to see that it is going to be broadcast live on television, because I think that as this becomes a more mainstream pastime, as competitive games and competitive esports become more of a worldwide sensation for not only hardcore gamers, but also those that just generally like to watch something on television that is sports related, you're going to be seeing more of this television-based content, and you're going to be needing more of it to continue that growth, because what proves the popularity of something more than it being on television? For instance, probably about a year and a half ago or so, I was watching, I believe it was TBS, and they had actually signed a contract for professional CSGO to be shown on television around 9 o'clock, and I think it was a pretty solid night of the week. It might have even been Saturday night, but I specifically remember seeing that and thinking, oh my gosh, CSGO is so big that it's actually debuting on TBS, and it was massive. It was a big success for them, and I remember watching it, and I don't really even watch that much competitive CSGO, but still, it was cool to be able to see it on television, and I think that's really what they're trying to prove here, is that esports is television worthy, because that's been, up until now, the gold standard of any kind of sports broadcast. And of course, esports for many people are considered the same as football, baseball, basketball, whatever it might be. So to be able to have that on the same platform, I think that's where the biggest benefit is whenever it comes to the future of esports. With that being said, if you were interested in checking out the official tournaments for the Overwatch League, of course, they'll still be streamed online inevitably. But hey, if you happen to be in Germany, Austria, or Switzerland, then by all means, you could jump in and give it a shot. Now, speaking of watching streams, Twitch has apologized for running ads for other streamers on streams of other streamers. Essentially, it would be like if you had your own show, like right now with mine, if you saw an advertisement for IGN's Up at Noon, which got shut down. We ran them out of business here with this daily podcast. Just kidding. But it's just that kind of idea. So now that we've established that, let's move on. Twitch have apologized, which is the weirdest way to say that, although it is correct. Twitch have apologized for approving running commercials promoting megastar streamers during other folks' streams. Turns out streamers didn't much like having their own Twitch channels promoting the idea of watching someone else. Who could have guessed that? Twitch said they will avoid doing it again, which is a vague commitment. That's how it goes when your media platform has gained mainstream attention through a handful of homegrown celebrities, and while you enable some people's livelihoods, you don't employ the vast majority of those reliant on you or have much interest in the individuals. Damn! The Rock Paper Shotgun article is pulling no punches here. Oh my lord. The live streaming site's first ad, oopsie, was in December. The site's standard ad spaces included promos for a New Year's Eve live stream sponsored by Red Bull and hosted by Tyler Ninja Blevins. You know, the boring fella who's good at Fortnite and has broken into mainstream awareness by going on telly with Ellen DeGeneres and playing Fortnite with Drake. You know, the former teen heartthrob now known for singing about why women shouldn't date him. Given that Ninja is the biggest and best known Twitch streamer, showing ads for him on other Twitch channels was 1, pointless, and number 2, riling to other streamers who'd rather people watch their streams. Thank you very much. This month's Twitch ad rotation included promotion for an American hand-egg stream hosted over the weekend by Pokemon. Following a similar but more frustrated backlash, they now say they've listened. In a statement yesterday, they believed ads, quote, help spotlight exciting events taking place on site with some of our creators, which is true and entirely beside the point. We recognize those good intentions caused concerns across our broader Twitch creators, and that these advertisements may drive their audiences elsewhere, and that we had unintentionally created a potentially negative impact with our efforts, they explain. Sure, those are good intentions for the 2 streamers who get those ads everywhere. And while that potentially negative impact may have been unintentional, it was also entirely predictable even with a few seconds of thought. You'd have to be daft to believe that, oh my gosh, they're just going in. But with that being said, Rock Paper Shotgun and the author over here in question, which is Alice O'Connor, continues to go in on Twitch, which is, wow, you know, bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. But to go ahead and summarize what's being said here, essentially ads were being run on smaller channels like me, and other ads were being shown on larger channels which actually have a voice to make a difference in the industry, and so Twitch has officially reversed their decision to pretty much promote other streams on top of existing streams. Should never have happened to begin with, but I also understand where they're coming from. So now is where I kind of break it down for you guys, give you my thoughts on this, because I've been kind of letting this one simmer for a bit, hadn't been saying much, might even make a video on this later on in the week because it's still going to be a relevant topic going forward. Twitch is in a weird spot right now because it's in between being the homegrown site that we all have come to love over the years, where it did begin with a small group of nerds that began to flourish and play World of Warcraft, and now it's become what it is today, which is this giant Amazon-owned media company that is completely and totally centered on making money. That's what it is. Bits, they were introduced for you to make money. The affiliate program allows people to make smaller amounts of money, which still accumulates to become a larger amount of money that Amazon and Twitch can therefore take. This company is about making money. Okay, so whenever they buy ad space for their biggest streamers, that is because they know that children watching other streams will then see an ad for Ninja and directly go over to Ninja. Like twitch.tv/ninja will then get more viewers. That's just how advertising works, and that's what everybody's been saying on Twitter. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the Twitch that we all knew from even around 2014 is dead and gone, okay? It's completely and totally gone. Now, as Spike says in the chat, come back Justin TV. Agreed. That was a much better time, and you'll still see that same kind of foundation on Twitch. For instance, whenever you see people like Soda Poppin', for instance, keeping it real and just being upfront with people and not trying to put on a show and just talking, that's whenever you see that larger streamers on the platform can continue to supplement the additional noise that has been created over the past 5 years or so. But overwhelmingly, everything is becoming much more professional, much more corporate, and much more money-based and money-focused, and that's what it comes down to. Again, I'll probably make a video on this later on in the week because it is such a relevant and popular topic right now. But the Twitch as we know it is dead. Long live Amazon and Jeff Bezos. Sorry about the divorce, bud. But with that being said, went on a bit of a tangent there. My bad. Moving on to the next topic of the day, you better tune in to twitch.tv/ninja because Fortnite's NFL Skins are returning for Super Bowl 53. You can't even help predict the winner thanks to a new limited time mode. Last year during the NFL wait, let's back up. You don't need a predict the winner event to know who's going to win Super Bowl 53, okay? The Pats are going to absolutely wipe the field with the Rams, but I digress. Last year during the NFL regular season, Epic Games partnered with the National Football League to release official team uniforms as cosmetic items inside Fortnite. The items were widely successful, but as with all Fortnite cosmetics, they were only in the store for a brief period of time. I apologize. Now, Epic is bringing the NFL uniforms back for a limited time. In celebration of their trip to Super Bowl LIII, the Los Angeles Rams and the New England Patriots will also be getting a new white version of their uniforms to commemorate their trip to the big game. The skins themselves will be available starting on February 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, though Epic has not yet made clear when they'll be removed from the shop again. Since the Super Bowl is on Sunday, February 3rd, it's safe to say they'll last that long, although they're unlikely to stick around long after that since a new patch is likely to arrive on Tuesday. Also coming to Fortnite in celebration of Super Bowl Sunday is the new NFL Rumble limited time mode. Do you know how much money they paid for that? The mode allows teams of 20 to face off against one another with everyone decked out in either a Patriots or Rams uniform in Fortnite's equivalent of the teams on the field competition. I like that idea. I can get behind that. With that being said, if you did want to dive into Fortnite and check out some Patriots versus Rams action or get your NFL outfit, then by all means, you surely can do that, starting again February the 1st and running through at least February the 3rd, though I would guess February the 5th. And again, the Pats are going to stomp the Rams. Make no mistake about it. If the Rams win, that's going to be fantastic, and I'll lick my toe or something because it's not going to happen. But still, cool to see them bringing back this limited time mode, and on top of that, the limited time custom outfits. But if you're a regular person not into Fortnite, guess what? Xbox Live Games with Gold is absolutely racking them up for February with some pretty awesome additions to the lineup. February's Games with Gold is an interesting mix from retro stylings to series like Star Wars and Assassin's Creed. As always, these games are only free if you do have an Xbox Live Games with Gold subscription, but what do they include? On the Xbox One, you can get Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, the kind of miniature Castlevania-esque game from February 1st to the 20th, and Super Bomberman R, the poorest representation of Bomberman to date from the February of the 16th to March of the 15th. Strange way to say those dates as well. Now, on the Xbox 360, of course compatible with the Xbox One, you can pick up Assassin's Creed Rogue from the 1st to the 15th, a fantastic entry in the Assassin's Creed franchise, and Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy from February 16th through the 28th. Of course, out of this entire lineup, the biggest star of the show is without a doubt Assassin's Creed Rogue, but again, all these games are free if you have Games with Gold, so jump in, play some Curse of the Moon. I've heard good things. I do want to pick it up on my Vita, but I have not gotten around to scraping the dust off of that little machine yet. So, if you did want to dive in on the Xbox One, then by all means you can. But again, all four of these games are able to be played on the Xbox One via the beauty of backwards compatibility. Modern technology, ladies and gents, absolutely glorious without a doubt. Super Bomberman R is awful. Moving on to the final story of the day, and this is my favorite story of the day as well. Stories Untold developer unveils prototype pigeon fighter, Peckin. That's right, it's a pigeon fighting game called Peckin. 10,000 retweets, and it will be made for real, and guess what? It has been officially retweeted 10,000 times. Ever want to be a pigeon and remorselessly punch your birdie friends in the beak? Well then, this might be the Monday you have been waiting for. All thanks to Stories Untold developer No Code and its bird 'em up extraordinaire, Peckin, aka Beak Fighter 2 Turbo, or Beaks of Rage. Nice. Peckin, a pigeon-themed PS1-styled fighter, made its Twitter debut over the weekend after No Code's founder and creative director John McKellen rustled up a small slice of bird-on-bird melee action and chose to share it with the world. The resulting prototype, which pits Walter Peck against Jackie Bird in a featherweight fight to the death, can be seen below. In a follow-up tweet that McKellen may yet live to regret, the dev promised that once work on No Code's forthcoming sci-fi thriller Observation is complete, ladies and gents, Peckin would be turned into an actual proper game, provided that the original prototype video managed to amass 10,000 retweets. At the time of writing, the video has 7,000 retweets and counting, but guess what? As of right now, we have, ladies and gentlemen, the official count being 10,793 retweets. That is right. Guess what? Peckin is becoming a reality. So in a follow-up tweet, again, we have the confirmation that the game will be developed, and of course we have also some contact from Devolver Digital, which seems to be the perfect publisher for a fighting game featuring pigeons called Peckin. But we'll see if this game actually ends up coming out. Again, it has been promised, but at the time of writing, this is pretty much a joke that has gone too far. But a joke that I cannot wait to legitimately see. Because this looks good, okay? Now, I know it might not be everybody's thing, but at the very least, it could be a very interesting Twitch game. It could be a very interesting fighting game. It could actually make a debut at EVO. Let's be real here. This is quality entertainment here, without a doubt. So again, if you do want to jump in and support the developer, then by all means you can follow at John_NoCode over there on Twitter and get the deets on Peckin, again, otherwise known as the two alternate names, Beak Fighter 2 Turbo or Beaks of Rage. Never gonna get enough of that. But with that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode of Caffeinate. If you did, be sure to drop me a like down below if you are watching on YouTube. And if you're hanging out in the Twitch chat, I appreciate you very much. And of course, if you do want to hang out in the Twitch chat as the show is streamed live, then it's hosted on twitch.tv/TheSamuelAdams 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, over there on YouTube, on podcast services, you know the drill, links down below. But I will talk to you guys tomorrow for a brand new episode of Caffeinate. And until then, have a fantastic night. Peace.